Hi, welcome to Messy Missy Creates. This is Melissa. It is time to make the April journal. I did not do my March with you. I did that on my own. I'm going to do this in a similar way, composition book, and of course there's going to be bunnies. You knew there was going to be bunnies. Anybody knows me for 5 seconds know there's gonna be bunnies somewhere. Let's see, the difference being last month I dyed my papers before I bound it in. I don't think I'm not gonna do that this time. I've had some questions about how I do my backgrounds, and so though I did enjoy having the backgrounds already done, I don't think I have time to do that before I need to make my journal. So that's the other reason. So I'm going to just do my backgrounds, like I might do like a week's worth and then let them dry, that kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll do that when we're actually working in the journal. But anyway, what I did is I had ordered, I prefer the graph paper in the notebook, the composition books, and so I ordered one. I'm having trouble finding them in a local store, so I ordered one that had 100 sheets, and so I broke it apart, and I used some of the sheets in last month, and this month I'm using I'm hoping that's 16 of them. I'm gonna double check. I think there's 30 days in April, I believe. That means I need 15, and then last month I forgot to add in my the calendar, and so I had to tip it in. So I want to make sure I have enough, so I'm gonna do 16 pages. That should give me 32. I should have enough for the planner in there, is where I was going with that. But so this is just an empty cover. It was one I took the line pages out of, so I'm just using the cover on this. I'm going to have, that's a loud train coming. I hope that it's not overpowering, or too loud in your ear. I'm gonna cover the bunnies, and then I'm gonna use the bunnies to cover it, and then I'm gonna use this on the inside, I think, on my inside covers. And then I have this cardstock, and I'm probably gonna use that for pocket, or a pocket. So that's kind of my plan, unless something changes my mind. Now, in the past, I've only butted up to this tape. Last month, I think I actually redid my tape in white. Don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but I was tempted so that I could have more bunnies, per square inch. I was tempted to close that in a little bit more. I don't need that much tape. Or that much, spine. I'm thinking something like that. I'm just wondering if that's going to, I wonder how that's going to glue there. Anyway, whatever. That's what I'm going to do. If it doesn't work, I have more of this paper, and I have more composition books. So, I'm going to move what I don't need. I'm hoping I can get this all done in one video. And I should be able to. I should be able to do this in my sleep by now. I'm trying to determine, let's see, I might go to, there's a line right here where this is taped on. I might just go to that line. And I'm trying to figure out placement as far as where I'm going to get the best view of my bunnies, right? I don't want to have to cut any of their little ears off. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this corner right here. And, as much as I think I have everything I need right here at my hand, at my fingertips, there's always something I forget. And I know I'm going to need a couple sheets of parchment paper. I get this, it's actually called dry wax paper. I get it at Sam's. It's in a huge box of 500. They're so good for gluing glue books, You can paint them, decorate them, use them as like vellum almost. Anyway, I'm sure that, you know, if you don't have a Sam's membership, I'm sure you can get them other places too, but that's just where I get them. So let me get my little ducks in a row and see if I can get this glued on here. Sometimes I go back and forth between cutting the paper down ahead of time, you know, like thinking I can actually measure something correctly and cut it down and glue it down perfectly and it worked. That rarely ever happens, so I'm going to glue it and then take my chances cutting around. Most of the time I cut crooked or I cut into yeah, you know what I mean. But I'm going to see if I can do it this time. And probably going to run out of glue partway through, but we shall see. Now, I could have used a different cover and not felt like I needed to cover the back. And we can make that decision later. I don't always cover the back, but I have plenty of this paper, so I might. The yellow does match. I was going to say I could have picked a pink one or a teal one, but this was one that I actually already had broken apart, so I figured that was better use of that than breaking open a new one. Every once in a while, I don't mind the lined papers sometimes. I certainly use them for my writing journals. I use composition books for everything. Just notes, just grocery lists. Well, it used to be a very inexpensive way to, you know, journal or keep notes or whatever, but here lately these things have gotten expensive. And if you know, other than I ordered them on Amazon, but if you know of a good place to actually buy, all right, let's do this right, meaning the right orientation. If you know a good place to buy the graph paper ones that are not an arm and a leg, let me know. I did find this one. I think it was like $4 or something on Amazon. Some of them are like $12, $6, $7. And I'm like, that's ridiculous for one composition book. So this one I didn't mind. I mean, you know, you used to be able to get them around school time for 50 cents, and I did go and I got these. I got some from Walmart and some from Target. These are the ones from Target, I think. And the ones I got from Walmart, if you saw me trying to dye well, I don't think I actually videoed the dyeing the paper process, but I talked about and showed you the paper. The composition book from Walmart, the grid on it, the paper, the ink ran. So every paper I did was turquoise. Yay, I actually glued it on. I glued it on the right way. I glued it on. Okay, yeah, I like that shortened spine. Gonna let it dry a little bit before I cut around it. And just want to make sure it's sealed all the way up to the edge. There we go. That should be good. And anyway, have you decided what you're using for your April journal yet? I've had this paper picked out for quite some time. You know, I had bunnies the last several months. See, I never do this straight, but that's all right. There gets to be a point in there where the scissors won't fit in the, I guess the handle gets, when it gets to the, like right here, the handle butts it out a little bit. So it's not all user error. Let's see, that looks all kind of, well, you know. I don't know where my small scissors are. All right, and then I can take a fingernail file to the edge of it, or the rest of it. Now, I have not found, let me see if this works. I know one of these hole punches should match. And I want to say it's this one, but I never can get it to work. This is the Weir Memory Keepers, and that's the 10 millimeter corner rounder. And I never can get it in there because it does just that right there. Okay, let's see if that's going to work. Well, it's not perfect. I mean, it sticks over. I'm not going for perfection, but, and you know, if it sticks over, then you're going to end up with, you know, it's going to peel. So, see if I can file this down just a smidge. Just a little bit. Okay. That looks a little bit better. I just want to keep, if there's any hanging over, it starts to peel by the middle of the month. So that, I'm not just being particular, I'm just trying to be preventative, I guess, if that. There we go. Okay. So, looking good so far. I only had to cut the ears off of one bunny. Well, okay, that one's peeking in. So, I guess I could go ahead and do the back. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do the inside cover. Let's see. And then I want to get to binding it. I can always add the back cover on later if I decide to do that. But I want to get this done. I don't think the back cover is going to hinder me from, I don't think it's going to keep me from binding the book together, if that makes sense. But I would like this in first. And I don't think direction matters on this one. I love this plaid. And I've actually had these papers for a while because I was planning on using them, I don't know, last year, the year before, and I did not do a journal last year at all. So, how do I want to do this? Let's see. I'm going to go, I'm not going to go right up to the spine, but I'm going to go pretty close. So, and then I'm going to have to probably break out a new glue stick. Hopefully I can get through this page with this one. And every time I think, oh, I want to use a book. I love the books. I love the size of some of the books. I love the feel of some of the books. I love the look of a journal that's made out of a book. But every time I do it, I go back to missing my composition book. So, at least for this season, so to speak, and I don't mean Easter, but I mean this, for this moment in my journaling phase or process or whatever, I'm liking the composition books. And might have gotten that a little too close over there, but I don't think it will. No, it's not going to keep it from closing. I think we're fine. Let's see. Just gonna get this all smoothed out. I mean, it's pretty smooth. This is not cardstock, it's actual paper. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. Oops. Yes. Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. I really like their, them and Joann's. I love their open shelf, or what do they call it? Open stock, I think. I like being able to buy a piece here and there. I don't always want a paper pad. I don't need a whole, I don't need a whole paper pad of Easter paper just to do my cover. And I don't use a lot of scrapbook paper in the journal. I've thought about it and I have intentions of doing that, but I think I just have more fun decorating the journal. You know, without that. So I'll use them for like a journal spot or something, like, or a tuck or pocket or something. All right, let's see if we can do this. I'm gonna try. I was gonna say I was gonna try cutting it straight across. Okay, I'm still way off. Not way off, but it definitely sticks over the edge of the journal. I'm wondering if when I get halfway, if it would be better to go from that direction, maybe. Possibly. I still have some wet glue oozing out, so maybe I should let that dry before I do too much with it around this corner. And then I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I was going to say dry, but realistically, I'll probably just let it sit for a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, you can see how I didn't get all the way up to the edge. And I could come back, and I have done that, come back with some washi tape right here, and that just keeps that from peeling. But I'm going to put in a pocket first. And I've used those little pocket things from, actually, you know, out of the photo boxes. They make a great, oh man, darn. Well, because I was actually thinking just to use this. Well, I could make a pocket that way. I was thinking I'd use the scraps. Although this is thinner paper, it's not going to be as durable. Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to use this, although this is not, it's a little bright for my liking. What else? And I might should have used that and then made the pocket out of that, but I didn't think that's what I wanted. If I come back and cover it with bunny paper, well, I always have the option to do that later. I'm going to stick with what my original plan was. I have lost somewhere in here, that's what lost means, somewhere in this mess of a room, or mess of a desk, and actually my desk is not that bad, but the under and beside it and all that, I still have stuff I haven't gone through yet. Okay, I wanted to get that trimmed down before I mismeasure my pocket here. Alrighty. But I've lost my tearing ruler, my metal ruler with the cork. Luckily I found this one. So I'm pretty much want to stick to 7 1/4. I don't want it to go all the way. So 7 1/4 by, I'm going to say about 4. Does that look about right? Or do I need a deeper pocket? I could go 4 1/2. This is not life or death. Make a decision. Thinking 4. Let's split the difference and go 4 1/4. We got 7 1/4. We might as well go 4 1/4. Okay. So I want 4 1/4 in this direction. Let's see, that's 4 1/2. That does not look like, I know what 4 1/4 looks like, and that does not look like, there it is. Got it. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it wasn't exactly 4 1/4 anyway. That way, if I do decide to come back and cover this with something, I can do it 4 by 7 and it'll just give me a little border. But this is thick cardstock, so it will be better suited for a pocket. But that way, since I did 4 1/4 and 7 1/4, you know, I could just, that will be an easy measurement if I want to come back and, you know, put some kind of something on that pocket. But anyway, I don't have to decide that now. These are not decisions I have to make at the moment. Around that corner. There. Man, there's a lot of trains today. My house actually lies in between 2 train tracks. Not right in between, but I'm about equal distance from 2. One's on the other side of the highway, one's on my side. So the front and the back of the house. And yeah, we get a number of trains that come through here. Okay, if I were a hole punch and you lived at my house, where would you be? Or if you were a hole punch, where would you be? I had them and I moved them. And we all know what happens when that happens, right? Here's one. This will be good enough. Because all I want to do is make one little indentation that's kind of close to the center. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where my 0 ruler is either. Let's see, 7 1/2 would be, or 7 would be 3 1/2. 7 1/4. I'm going to say roughly right around in here. There. I measured but didn't measure, right? I just kind of want it to be sort of close to the center. Okay. And then here's my art glitter glue. Put it on the correct. I heard Allison say in one of her videos she always puts her thumb on the side that you don't want. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. And then right after that, I glued something into my journal. And I thought that I had my thumb on the side that I didn't want glued. But turns out I did not. So I thought that was great advice. And after hearing it, I thought I did that. And turns out it did not. Okay, and I'm pushing those in, the top corners in a little bit, just to give myself a little bit more of a buckle so that stuff actually fits in the pocket a little bit. You know, that way you can slide stuff in. Well, you can't slide something in that's bigger than the pocket. So there. Got it. Good deal. You don't want it too buckled because then all your stuff will fall out. It'll make it too loose. But I do like to get a little bit of a pucker in there. All right, so we have that done. I actually think I like the black with this one. The other months, the white tape looked better, but the black was already on here, so I'm gonna leave it. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the inside cover. I could do it the other way and do the pocket. No, that's right. I just had that conversation with myself about this being a thinner paper and not being as good of a pocket. So I'm gonna open a new glue stick so that I don't get in the middle of that one. And okay. Hooey, where's my parchment paper? Okay. Got it. So this is not difficult, and this is not, you know, last month I just had to get this done in a hurry, and so I did not video it. I had a little bit of a, I don't know, brain bubble, something. I don't know. I was thinking that I already had my journal figured out, and I did not. And so I waited, not until the last minute, but anyway, I pushed it too far and time-wise, and just had to get it done, and was not in a position to video it. But again, it's not like this is, you know, you've seen this probably a million times on YouTube somewhere. And so it's not like it's new information, but generally I like to see people do this because it seems like there will be some little tip or trick that somebody does differently that I'll pick up something useful. You know, some little tip, like you might not have known to pinch your pocket like that, you know. And that's how I learned that, by watching somebody do this. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So I still see the value in doing it. And, you know, like I was saying, I did enjoy having my pages already dyed, or already, you know, the background's already done. That made journaling in them easier, but I did miss kind of that part of the process. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't have room in my kitchen to dye paper right now. I'm trying to preserve garden harvests, and I'm, you know, been putting up vegetables and freezing, you know, and I'm gonna try to can. I've got a whole garden full of collards I need to pick today. This is the only day that I've had to do it. Or, you know, been home long enough to do it. So I thought I would get this journal made and this video made. Tomorrow is the 1st. So I haven't waited till the last second, but I can see it from here. And then I'm going to devote time to my garden. So the last thing I need to do is mess up my kitchen with dyed paper and, you know, have to clean that mess up and the garden mess. So, and also, like I said at the beginning of the video, I've had some questions about how I do my backgrounds, or how I did those backgrounds. So, though I won't do the dyeing process, because I haven't figured out how to film in my kitchen yet. But, you know, I can do that per page, you know, as we go. Do I need a back pocket? Might as well. Might as well. Might as well, you said. I think I heard somebody in the back say that. No, I can't do a side one. Well, can't, never could. I could do a bunny side one. Do I want this paper for something else, though? I don't know if I would use it. The bunny, well, I'd use that one. I was going to say the bunnies aren't centered on it. I have another sheet of this, but so I could go get another sheet and do a side pocket. I do like that sometimes. Let me do that just so I have a variety. My paper is right here in my room. I have a one of the paper stands. It holds paper pads. It's vertical. It's about as tall as I am, or well, not quite. It comes up to about my shoulders, so probably about, what, 4 feet, something like that. Oh, I'm gonna do this. So this one I don't know, so I am gonna measure. The other one I had an idea. I'm thinking that looks like about, let's see, 3.5 would put me there. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. I could put it on the center, but I think I'm still gonna do 3.5. And yeah, this is 9 3/4 tall. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think it is. So, what did I say, 3.5? And 9 3/4, I think it was. I hope all this is in frame. I don't, I think what's throwing me off is on this one, the 1/4 and the 3/4. Yeah, I guess it is. Usually that line sticks up a little bit further, and it doesn't on this one. And once again, I don't have my glasses on. One day I will learn, but apparently not soon. Okay, so do I want it this way and put the stuff in this way? Although it tends to make that fall out, so perhaps I should do it here. Yeah. Talked myself right into that one. Okay, around those corners. So my niece was supposed to come today again, and she messaged me last night and said that she was just physically exhausted and her elbow is very inflamed. So I did not measure that one. See, aren't you proud? And it's not centered either, but that's okay. That is okay. All right, does that give me room? Yeah. Yep. Glue. Here we go. Anyway, so as much as, you know, there was stuff we needed to get done today, we put off the yard sale for another week. Ooh, can you drive your glue straight? I can't. Wow, that was pitiful. Okay. Anyway, so hold on. Okay, pucker that just a little, not a lot. Whoa. I want that one to be a little bit tight. Let's see what that looks like on that side. Okay. Well, this might get washy. Well, darn. Okay. That works good enough. Good enough. So I have a variation. This kind of pocket, that kind of pocket. That one, where am I at with time? 35 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and cover the back. I have the paper. It won't take me but a few minutes, right? Nope. I'm going to jump into finishing because as soon as I bind this journal, if I have time left, I'll do the back, but okay. So the other reason for me not doing this is when I went back and looked at some of my journals, I miss doing like color blocking, like with markers. And so I wanted the option of doing some of my backgrounds that way. Let me see if I can find one that would be a good example of that. Oh, I'm getting distracted. Let me see. I mean, this isn't a real good example, but see, on this background, I didn't actually put ink on the background. I just did, now that one I did, but, you know, did little dashes and, okay, so this one, this is kind of what I meant. And I did, you know, just had this section green, this section pink, this section that, you know, that color, that kind of thing. And, oh, I remember that day. My child made me nervous. This was when she first started working on the school bus. She painted the top of it and took a picture on the edge. And, but anyway, so see the, see what I mean? I did a little stencil there and I just sectioned off. I didn't necessarily put ink on the whole background, but don't, I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved that. Let's see. Oh, and that was just a stamped background. So anyway, and I have all these markers, right? So I want to use them. So that was my other reason for not, dyeing my papers ahead of time. Although I'm going to see how this month goes. And April is usually a very, very busy garden. Okay, that's not my template. Oh, fiddlesticks. I know I have one. Whoop. I think it's in this little basket right here. That's all right. I can make another one. I know what I forgot. I actually was thinking about doing eyelets in this one, but I guess I won't. I don't think I have my eyelets in here. Let me check. Nope. I don't think so. Nope, but I do need to bring them in here. Anyway, I don't need to do that, but so why is that one not? Well, it would work. I would have to. All right. Yeah, I don't want to make another one because I know I had it. Let me see. And that might be it, but that should not have been. Okay. We're going to use it. And I'm just going to put it the best that I can, equal distance from the top. Ideally, it should be the whole length or the height of your paper. But I'm going to just wing it. I think this must be the one I made for the journal that I made that you haven't seen yet. I made a journal for a friend who was moving away. Just kind of as an encouragement journal. Let's see. So if I do that, I don't really have to mark this one, but I will. Okay, there's no way of getting that exact. Oh yeah, actually I did. I lined up with that center dot right there. Okay. Good enough. But also too, oh, I need to count my pages, make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 6, 7. That should be 2 of them. 8, 9, 10. Nope. Wait for it. 10, 11. Come on. 12, 13, 14. Uh-oh. Why is there only 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Darn it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, one of them just was set together. But also, because they're already together, and when I dyed them, obviously, you know, these are like fit together, or fitted, or you know what I mean. Actually. All right, where's my little template? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? It was just here. It was just here. So I was going to say I was going to make the marks on the back side right here. Oh well, I guess I don't need it. All right, so I've got one of my pokey tools. I don't need it very thick because it's... Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and poke these through. Oh, wait a minute. I'm forgetting a crucial step. Crucial step. And I'm going to go through all of it at one time this time, instead of doing it separately. I don't know why I did that last time. Let's see. And there's about 85 ways you can do this, and everybody has their own method. So, you know, if you do it differently than that and it works for you, that's great. If what you're doing isn't working for you and you want a different way of doing it, then, you know, watch somebody else make them or bind them or whatever. And, yeah, you pick up little tips and tricks without even realizing it. And I probably don't do it the same way every time. I'm willing to say that's probably a safe bet. Okay, my paper's got, they kind of ran up. Okay, they had run out over the top of my journal, and I did not want that. Now they're, okay, quit fiddling. Quit fiddling. Alrighty. Wait a minute. I have about a 1/4 inch of adhesive all over this. From the last journal I did, I ran through like 2 pieces of tape with this thing. And my needle, it got so gummy. Alright, you're going down there. And you're going up here. So that I can do this. There we go. The trick is not to get your finger and to go out the actual edge of the spine. I don't typically use a cradle or anything. I just try to This only being a single signature is a whole lot easier. You know, I don't feel like I have to do anything too elaborate. Okay, so this is going to be here. I have used pink for the last 2 journals. So I'm thinking I want something other than pink. And last month, my journal, the paper was green based, but my greens did not match. But this time I'm thinking they do, although, and that is very pretty. I was thinking either a yellow or one of these turquoises, but I don't think there's quite enough turquoise in there to get away with that. Okay, I think I've cut some off of there. So I think I'm going with this green. Please don't make me use purple. That's a different color, but that's not the color. Okay, green it is. This thing right here, I got at a yard sale. I got at a thrift store a long time ago, and it has been the most handy thing. I know it's supposed to color code, you know. It's been a long time since I've done any cross stitching. When the slow stitching trend came in a few years ago, I had started doing a little bit, but I actually had surgery on my hand, on my right hand. So I was having some nerve issues in my hand, and so I had to have, and so even before that, I just never could do that. And then I lost the use after the surgery, and I got the use of my right hand back, and then I lost the use of my whole right side. So that was kind of a very long time to not have a fully functioning dominant hand. So that was a little frustrating. Hey, we did it. You know why it went through on the first try? Because I have my needle threader right here. Okay. I'm going to go in from, let's see, I'm going to move this one back down here, I think. Okay. Start from the start. Oh, wow, that went right through. Okay. That was almost just too easy. Alright, this one going in like a breeze. I'm almost feeling like something, you know, when it's going too well. But I don't really have a top, I don't have an orientation to my pages, so I'm not that worried about, you know, in this case, not worried about marking the top or anything like that, because they're kind of the same on both sides. Okay. See if I can do that. Alrighty. Wow. That went pretty well. I'm gonna get that one under there. I'm gonna take these off so I can tighten it. If you don't take those off, your pages are still bound to where they are. Does that make sense? And I'm going to take them off when you go to tighten it, so that you can get them all together. Does that make sense? There we go. Alrighty. I'm a little on the lopsided side here. Do I care? How much do I care if I care? Okay. That was an easy enough fix. All right, I'm gonna tighten them again. Okay. Couple knots here. Well, I can't ever keep track of which direction I go, so I just do several of them. I haven't had one come apart yet. All right, and until I decide what I do with that, I just tie it in a bow. Most of the time I don't come back and do anything to it. All right. We have one journal with a month's worth of pages that is only slightly hanging off the bottom. And we have a pocket in the back and a pocket in the front. And do we want to go back and add the back page? I don't know. So, ta-da. Let me see where we are on time. Wow, we did that in under a minute. I mean, under a minute. We were fast. We did that in under an hour. So that's not too bad. I'm probably going to at some point see if I can find some washi that I want to go on here, if I want it to go, and I can make my decision to do the back page at some point. But oh, I know what I was going to show you. Hold that thought. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to leave you hanging, but had to find that. I made my, I drew this on my iPad, and just little peep bunnies with numbers on them. So I wanted to make my own for this month, and just kind of looked at the colors in here to figure out what I wanted, and just basic spring colors. You'll notice there's no purple. That was just by, I don't know, I didn't need it. And there's not any purple in my journal. So I'm going to cut these out. I think I'm going to come back and do a page where I prep some. I am going to do a little pre-prep. Ooh, I actually said that right. Going to do a little pre-prep this time. And I'll cut these out. And get them all cut out. I need to figure out what days I'm going to use. I have some in mind. I want to make sure they kind of coordinate with the colors. And then I'm going to use this color palette and get some inks out and see if I want to do a few backgrounds. And if not, then I will, I don't know, gonna get myself set up for April, get my markers. I did eventually end up with another set of those. I had this set, but they're brush markers, and I wanted the fine liners, and I found them at Sam's cheaper than they were at Walmart. So I was happy about that. So that will, I'm going to use those. Now I will have, again, like I did last month, I will have some bleeding because I did not glue the pages together. But I will just have to deal with that as I go. It's going to be probably mostly ghosting because I've already tested the mild liners on here and they ghost a little bit, but not badly. So anyway, here we go. We are ready for April, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.